Hi, this is Mike, and we're looking at the Bitcoin chart. So I've changed the count on this five wave move, accommodating for potentially another move up. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit interesting because if this count is correct, then we do need one more high, but that high cannot exceed the critical resistance, right? So this is going to serve two purposes if this is correct, and it'll be to make some profits on the way up and then short it back down when we hit those highs, right? So I've tried to formulate this plan as best I can based on my current change of the analysis. So eventually, when we get to this area, it's going to turn around and look a bit different, right? So this area up here is going to be the sell zone, right? The sell zone will be basically where I expect price to terminate within this area. It has to be within this area, right? So I'll explain my count, the change of count, right? So this, I've just labeled it as a five wave move. The only thing that is a bit strange about this is that I had to make this move down an A, which to me is possible, but the only way that it can really be um, reconciled is that it was a type 2 expanded zigzag. Now, it would require further inspection to confirm this um, at a very close, small degree. Um, it's definitely, going to be choppy to look at, but there's a good potential that I can see already an A, a B, a C, D, E happening in there, right? And then the rest of it would have been an expanded correction, all right? So you would have had B, C, is that right? Hang on, I think it was up here, the C. Well, it could have been there. No, it could have been there. So B, C, D expanded up, and then E. So wave two ended at the highs, right? And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means that wave three was more towards the top end, right? And then obviously wave three ended, and then wave four, I believe, according to this new count, ended at the lows. Now, at the lows, obviously, there was a lot of weird stuff going on, which is why I had to go fully in depth on the wave analysis. As I've mentioned before, if I see something weird, I'll let you know. But I did book a small profit in the process, and then it just became time to reevaluate. So, if this is correct, then it will be the last move up unless it breaks the high. Now, obviously, that's the chance you take when you trade, is that you deal with probabilities. So, are you going to know exactamundo where you're going? Well, hopefully. Otherwise, we need to reconsider. But I still maintain my position that this is a wave E. The rest of the patterns there, I cannot make anything else out of them. So we're just looking at one more high for this for Bitcoin, right? So let me go down to the smaller degree and I'll explain the way that I see this and the way it panned out. So I've changed my count so that the first move down was moving down as a week five wave move, except just labeled it a bit differently and that it ended down here, right? And then I labeled it as A, B, C rather than E, and then D, E, right? So this here kind of reconciles this zigzag looking thing rather than making it a five wave move, which was always weird in the beginning. And I get that. That's why we're making this change. So in essence, wave A, was it as long as wave C? And it seems to be spot on, right? So then we got to the end of wave A, and then I believe we saw a B and a C followed by a D. Okay, so it's interesting to note that the way this is panning out now, it's created a support level that could possibly indicate that wave E was just a quick, sharp move down before we started heading up. Now, another reason why I decided to go with this view is because if this was what I thought it was before and this was going to keep going lower, it should have done it already, right? This is not something that is supposed to happen when you're starting wave 3. Okay, so just drilling down a bit lower into this area, I'll explain again what I mean. So once we got to that bottom there where I marked it as C, like a weak 5-wave move, we did see this zigzag type thing. And I did see a correction in between that indicates that it wasn't what I thought before, like a CDE pattern. Instead, it was a D and an E. Okay, so I understand it's weird, but at the moment, it seems to be the most logical. So this area would be a long area, right? To go long, support, if it holds, we need to break the magenta line. Okay, the dashed line up the top there, I'm going to put the numbers in the description, but this is where you go long, right? Especially if we break that magenta line and we are targeting the highs, right? We're targeting that sell zone. Okay, whenever we get to that sell zone, that's when we will sell, obviously, with a stop above the high to begin with, right? Now, by the time it gets to that spot, it will be not a bad place to, to put your stop anyway, considering it's going to be so close and considering that you would have made some profits potentially if this count is right. You would have made some profits on the way up. So you'd only need to use a fraction of those profits for shorting this, depending on what your plan is, right? So, yep, as I mentioned, it started to look choppy, started to look weird. So I had to change my view. So one more 5-wave move up is not going to be the end of the world. It doesn't affect my overall view. It just means that we're on top of the waves and we're not going to get wrecked if this thing suddenly spikes up and we were still short. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.